January arrived like a verdict already decided. The last thing she said to me wasn't cruel. That was the worst part. If she'd yelled, slammed the door, thrown something sharp enough to leave a mark, I might have had proof that the ending was earned. Instead, she stood in my doorway with her coat half buttoned, breath fogging the cold air between us, and said softly, "I don't think I can be who you need anymore." I remember noticing the way her hand shook when she reached for her keys. I remember thinking, stupidly, desperately, that if I said the right sentence, time would reverse, that the calendar would flip backward, that January would forget to happen at all. But I didn't say anything, and that silence became the sound that followed me for the rest of the year. Her name was Eleanor Wright, though she let almost everyone call her Ellie. Almost everyone except me. I'd said her name fully once, slowly, like it was something sacred, and she'd laughed and said, "Only you say it like that." After that I kept doing it, because it made her look at me the way people look at something they don't want to lose. My name is Clara Monroe, and I've always been the kind of person who feels things long after everyone else has learned to let go. That January morning the city looked indifferent. Snow piled itself neatly along the sidewalks. Traffic moved on schedule, and somewhere down the block someone was laughing, loud and careless. The world hadn't noticed that my life had just split in two before and after. Ellie paused at the door like she was waiting for permission to stay. "Clara," she said, my name almost breaking in her mouth. I finally spoke then. "If you walk out now, you don't get to come back and haunt me." Her eyes filled instantly. "I already haunt myself." And then she was gone. For weeks after, I slept on my side of the bed, like the other half was still occupied by her absence. I kept expecting to hear her keys on the counter, her boots kicked off unevenly, the quiet hum she made when she thought no one was listening. I learned that grief isn't always loud. Sometimes it just sits with you, sipping coffee, pretending it belongs. February brought apologies I never sent. March arrived with anger I didn't know what to do with. By April, I'd memorized the way her name looked unsent in my phone. We met in October the year before, which felt ironic in retrospect. Fall is designed to make you believe in beautiful endings. I'd been sitting alone in a used bookstore, one of those places where the floor creaks like it remembers too much, when Ellie reached past me for a book neither of us actually wanted. "Sorry," she said, smiling in a way that felt like a question. "No, that's fine," I replied, immediately lying. We started talking about the book anyway, then about the weather, then about nothing and everything, until the sun dipped low and the owner flicked the lights to warn us the day was ending. Ellie had a habit of tilting her head when she listened, like she was tuning herself precisely to your frequency. She told me she worked in urban planning. I told her I narrated audiobooks and hated the sound of my own voice. She said she liked it anyway, though she hadn't heard it yet. That was Ellie, confident without being loud, gentle without being fragile. Our first date wasn't even supposed to be a date. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into walking for hours, our shoulders brushing like punctuation marks in a sentence that refused to end. When she finally kissed me, it was slow, careful, like she was asking my permission with every inch of the movement. "I don't rush things," she whispered against my cheek. "I don't either," I said, even though I'd already fallen. We were careful with each other in the beginning. That's what makes the ending hurt more. We talked about boundaries, fears, old scars. She told me she'd spent most of her life being the strong one, the one who stayed, the one who didn't ask for too much. "I'm tired," she admitted one night in December, curled against me as snow drifted past the window. "Not of you, just tired of pretending I'm not afraid." I held her tighter, thinking love was supposed to be enough to fix that. January proved me wrong. After she left, I did all the things people say you're supposed to do. I went to work, I met friends, I laughed at jokes that felt like they belonged to someone else. I deleted our photos, then restored them, then hid them in a folder I pretended didn't exist. By summer, the city changed. People wore less. The air grew heavy. I told myself that warmth meant healing. It didn't. It just made the memories sweatier, more alive. I didn't hear from Ellie, not once. I wondered if she thought about me at all, or if I'd been something she survived rather than lost. I imagined her in new places, with new people, her laugh landing on someone else's shoulder. The thought made my chest ache in a way that felt physical. In September, I almost texted her. I typed, "Do you ever think about," and stopped. Deleted it. I refused to be a ghost begging another ghost for proof of life. By November, the year felt tired too. Trees stripped themselves, bare. The days shortened. I started taking longer walks just to avoid going home to the quiet. Then December arrived. It crept in gently, like it remembered me. I was in line at a cafe near the river, half listening to a holiday playlist I hated, when I heard someone say my name like it still belonged to them. "Clara?" I turned slowly, already knowing. Ellie stood a few feet away, hair shorter now, scarf wrapped tight around her neck. Her eyes met mine and widened, like she hadn't expected to see me outside of memory. For a moment, the entire year collapsed into that space between us. "Hi," she said, And just like that, January came rushing back. We stood there like two sentences that once made sense together, and had been separated by a period too final to ignore. "Hi," I echoed, hating how familiar it sounded. The cafe noise blurred around us. Cups clinking, someone laughing too loudly, steam hissing. But Ellie and I existed in a quiet pocket all our own. She looked thinner, not in a dramatic way, just enough that it suggested sleepless nights or thoughts that didn't rest easy. "I didn't know you came here," she said, gesturing vaguely, as if the cafe itself had summoned me. "I didn't know you were back in the city," I replied. Her mouth twitched. "I wasn't, not until recently." There was so much packed into that recently that I almost laughed, or cried, or did something reckless, like reach for her hand to confirm she was real. Instead, we stood there, polite and restrained, like strangers with shared history buried under formalities. "Do you want to sit?" she asked finally, her voice cautious. "I mean, only if you're not busy." I should have said no. I should have protected the fragile stability I'd built over 11 months of pretending I was fine. I nodded. We found a small table by the window. Outside, the river reflected gray winter light, calm and deceptive. Ellie took off her gloves, folding them neatly, the same way she always had. I noticed everything. I hated myself for it. "So," she said, wrapping her hands around her mug, "how have you been?" It was the most dangerous question she could have asked. "I've been living," I said carefully. "You?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Same." Silence stretched, heavy but not hostile. It was the kind of quiet that remembered things. Finally, Ellie inhaled slowly. "I think about you," she said, "all the time." The words landed softly, but they shattered something inside me. I looked at her then, really looked. "You left me in January. I know, and I still thought about you in December," I continued, my voice steadier than I felt. "Every version of December." Her eyes filled. "That's why I came back." I didn't respond right away. I didn't trust myself to speak without breaking open. Ellie leaned forward slightly. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you." "Then why?" The question slipped out, raw and unpolished. She exhaled, staring into her coffee like it might offer answers. "Because I was scared of how much I did. Because with you I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't be the strong one all the time, and I didn't know how to be that version of myself without falling apart." I laughed bitterly. "So you chose to fall apart alone?" "Yes," she said quietly, "and it didn't work." We sat with that truth between us. She told me about the months after she left, the temporary job in another state, the rented room that never felt like home, the way my name would surface in unexpected moments. She admitted she'd tried dating, but every conversation felt like a translation of something she already understood. Odd, better in my language. "I didn't come back expecting anything," she said. "I just couldn't end the year without seeing you." Something inside me softened, then immediately hardened again. "You don't get to rewrite the story just because the ending hurt," I said. "I know," she replied, "but maybe we don't have to end it yet." The cafe lights dimmed as evening settled in. Outside, holiday decorations flickered on, small points of warmth against the cold. I felt like I was standing on the edge of something familiar and dangerous. "I don't know if I can do this again," I admitted. "I don't know if I can survive another January." Ellie reached across the table, stopping just short of touching my hand. She waited. "I'm not asking for forever," she said. "I'm asking for honesty, for a chance to show you that I've learned how to stay." I looked at the space between her hands, at how much history fit into such a small distance. "Let's take a walk," I said finally. Outside, the air was sharp, bracing. We walked along the river, our steps sinking without effort. Snow began to fall, light and hesitant, like it wasn't sure it was welcome. "Do you remember last December?" Ellie asked. "When we got lost trying to find that rooftop?" I smiled despite myself. "We weren't lost, you just refused to ask for directions." "And you refused to stop holding my hand," she teased. I stopped walking. She turned to face me, concern flickering across her features. "What?" "I need to know," I said. "If I let you back into my life, even a little, are you going to disappear when it gets hard again?" Ellie didn't answer right away. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the warmth she radiated. "No," she said firmly. "I can't promise I won't struggle, but I can promise I won't run." The snow fell heavier now, blanketing the world in quiet. I closed my eyes briefly, weighing the cost of hope against the exhaustion of carrying this alone. "Okay," I said softly. "One step at a time." Her breath hitched. "Okay." She didn't touch me, not yet, and somehow that restraint meant more than anything else could have. We moved carefully after that, like people relearning a shared language. Ellie didn't assume anything. She didn't show up unannounced or text me late at night with apologies disguised as nostalgia. She asked. She waited. She listened. It was both comforting and terrifying, proof that she had changed, and that this time I had more to lose. We met for walks, for coffee, for long conversations that circled the truth before landing on it gently. Sometimes we talked about the past, but more often we talked about who we were becoming. Ellie told me she'd started therapy. I told her I'd stopped running from quiet. I used to think love was about endurance, she said once as we sat on a park bench watching bare trees sway, staying no matter what. And now, I asked? And now I think it's about choosing each other when staying feels vulnerable, she replied. I didn't reach for her hand, not yet. I needed to trust the ground beneath us first. As December deepened, the city transformed into something softer. Lights strung across streets, windows glowed warmly, and the air buzzed with anticipation. I caught myself imagining Ellie in my apartment again, her coat draped over a chair, her presence filling the spaces she'd once left hollow. That scared me more than anything. One evening she invited me to a small art exhibit she'd helped design for work. No pressure, she added quickly. I just thought you might like it. I did like it. I liked the way she moved through the room, confident but attentive, introducing me without labels. This is Clara, not my ex, not my past, just me. Later, standing on the balcony overlooking the city, Ellie turned to me, her expression serious. I need to tell you something, she said. My stomach tightened. Okay. I almost didn't come back, she admitted. I was afraid seeing you would undo the progress I'd made. And did it? I asked. She smiled softly. It made it worth it. Something in my chest loosened. I realized then that love hadn't left me exhausted. It had left me unfinished. I stepped closer, close enough that the choice was clear. Ellie, I said, her name full and familiar. If we do this, we do it knowing it might hurt. She nodded, and knowing it might heal. I reached for her hand, her fingers curled around mine like they'd been waiting all year. The kiss that followed was gentle, unhurried. Not a reclaiming, not a promise, just a connection, real and present. When we pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. January is coming, I whispered. I know, she said, but this time I'm not leaving. Outside, the city glowed. Inside, something fragile and brave began again. January did come, it always does, but this time it didn't arrive like a verdict. It arrived like a question. Ellie stayed, through the cold mornings, the gray afternoons, the nights when memories crept in uninvited. We talked when things felt heavy, we paused when things felt rushed. We learned that love didn't have to be loud to be certain. On the morning of January 1st, we stood by the window watching snow fall over the city we'd both chosen again. Funny, Ellie said quietly. I used to think leaving was the bravest thing I ever did. And now? I asked. And now I know staying is harder, she replied, but it's worth it. I leaned into her, feeling the steady truth of that. Love wasn't circular because it doomed us to repeat pain. It was circular because it gave us another chance to return, changed and choose differently. Outside, the year opened itself before us, and this time, we stepped into it together. If this story stayed with you, lingered in your chest, or reminded you of a love worth choosing again, consider subscribing for more stories like this.